हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर राधे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद Hare Krishna. So Mataji wanted to do Damodar Ashtakam today, so I'll just do on behalf of her. Hare Krishna. Shri Damodar Ashtakam ki jai. नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् रसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्राजमानम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले राजमानम् यशोदाभियोलुकलाधवमानम् परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृतगोप्या यशोदाभियोलुकलाधवमानम् परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो धृतगोप्या रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्ममृचन्तम् कराम्भोजयुग्मेन शाटकनेत्रम् रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्ममृचन्तम् कराम्भोजयुग्मेन शाटकनेत्रम् मुश्वासकं पात्रिरेकककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवदामोदरं भक्तिपथम् मुश्वासकं पात्रिरेककण्ठ स्थितग्रैवदामोदरं भक्तिपथम् इति त्रिक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् इति त्रिक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयैषितज्ञेषु भक्तचित्तत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्तिवन्दे तदीयैषितज्ञेषु भक्तचित्तत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्तिवन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वतिं वा न चायं ग्रनेहं वरेशदपीहम् वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षं वतिं वा न चायं व्रणेऽहं वरेशदपीहम् इदं तेव पूर्णाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनसा विरष्टं किमन्ये इदं तेव पूर्णाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनसा विरष्टं किमन्ये नमो देव दामोदर इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनिर्लय वृतं कुण्टलस्निग्धरक्तशकोऽप्याम् इदं ते मुखाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनिर्लय वृतं कुण्टलस्निग्धरक्तशकोऽप्याम् मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनसा विरष्टम् आलं लक्ष्यलभ्यम् मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनसा विरष्टम् आलं लक्ष्यलभ्ये नमो देव दामोदर अनन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालब्धिमग्नम् नमो देव दामोदर अनन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालब्धिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु गणेशाममात्यम् आदि अक्षिदृश्ये कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु गणेशाममात्यम् आदि अक्षिदृश्ये कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तभयत्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजकृतौ च कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तभयत्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजकृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वकाम्य प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थितामुदरे तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वकाम्य प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थितामुदरे नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्फुरत्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोधरायाथ विश्वसदाम्ने नमस्ते सुदाम्ने स्फुरत्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोधरायाथ विश्वसदाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवयतु नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियायै नमो नन्दलीलाय देवयतु हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Translation. To the Supreme Controller, who possesses the eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistering earrings swing to and fro, who manifests himself in Gokula, who steals the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of his mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Seeing upon his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with the ropes, he shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances, whose super excellent pastimes uh, uh, babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokula in the pools of ecstasy, to the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana in Vaikuntha. The Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To that Supreme Lord Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benediction, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your Paramatma feature, simply wishing that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruits due to the Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord. Be pleased upon me. I am drowning in the ocean of sorrow, and I am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to the grinding stone with a rope of tying cows. You then fled the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalakuvera. who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in this way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound by a rope of Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer humble obeisances. I offer humble obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Shri Damodar Ashtakam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, do I recite my prayers?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान् पितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखावितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री गोविंद महादेव मैं श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः। O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Fisha Krishnam Sangopangosta Parshadam Yagnahi Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedhasaha. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnik Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyau Sharanya Karau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Ananden Mattalikau Vande Rup Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Diva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisances to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures. with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरों चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय श्री प्रभुपाद जय श्री गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तमम भजामि हरे कृष्ण please accept my obeisances all Guru Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. So let us do a recap of yesterday's class. I'll just share my screen. So yesterday we did chapter 86, but lesson 127, we went through the whole chapter as per the commentaries of Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we will revise this yesterday's chapter today. So we saw in the first part of the chapter, first 12 verses, the pastime of Arjuna kidnapping Subhadra. So this was a divine Leela. What was the highlight of this particular divine Leela?
Is the fact that how it shows us the destiny and the desire of the Supreme. So there is a personal destiny which Arjuna had to marry Subhadra, that is destined, and it is also the desire of the Supreme. So that's like a perfect combination to have, because Arjuna, his desire is always aligned to please Krishna, so they are fully in alignment. So even though he, in the garb of Vaishnav Sannyasi, actually, in a way, he's using that to achieve Subhadra, but that is also justified because it is in the service of the Lord, like you said yesterday. Whatever he says, that becomes the law and the dharma. Okay.
Yeah. So divine Leela is playful, at the same time it is meaningful also. And did Arjuna decide on his own accord to become a sannyasi and plan this out?
No, it was
No.
yes. Yes, Mother.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
यस हाँ, अर्जुन ने भगवान के कहने पे ही ये सब लीला की, क्योंकि भगवान की इच्छा थी कि अर्जुन सुभद्रा से विवाह करे.
Yes, भगवान की इच्छा थी. और Arjun, when he came, where did like when he came to Prabhas, he was on a pilgrimage. Like if we see in the beginning of the chapter, he was on a pilgrimage. When he came to Prabhas Kshetra, he came to know. What did he come to know when he came to Prabhas Kshetra?
Came to know that without the will of Krishna and Subhadra's parents, Balramji is trying to get her married to Duryodhana. And Krishna's
Balramji
desire is wrong.
wants, yeah. Correct.
And I also like the term you used yesterday, that he was helped by his co-conspirator.
Yeah.
Krishna. That was wonderful.
Remember.
Like so
Thank you,
wonderful
Prabhuji.
names Lord has, like co-conspirator, Ranchor, but still he's Lord.
Yeah, it was in the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Yes,
We had used this word. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, we see in this divine Leela, there are two aspects. One is devotion and the other is desire. Now, Arjun came dressed as a sannyasi. My question is, what type of sannyasi he had dressed into?
Tridandi sannyasi, you said, right?
Tridandi sannyasi. What is the significance of a tridandi, like the tridandi, like the three rods
मनसा
that they
कर्म
carry?
वाचा,
Correct.
मनसा कर्म वाचा से सेवा करनी.
Perfect. Thank you, Mataji. So then in this second point, we see that he came as a sannyasi, and there are two aspects here, devotion and desire. Uh, what, how does, like, and these are two dual renunciation and desire are two dualities in the bhakti process. So how these two dualities come in on the bhakti platform and how they are exercised?
So we desire to serve the Lord, and renunciation is anything for selfish gain or material gain. We renounce that. Or we
Correct.
use the concept of Yukta Vairagya, whatever is available, we use that in the service of the Lord. That is the
Perfect.
Gaudiya
We
Vaishnava.
have to transform our desire into spiritual desire.
Correct.
So
Wonderful.
automatically renunciation happens.
Yes. Thank you, Sanjeev Prabhuji and Rakshaman. Very nicely said. So now, then Arjuna was dressed in a sannyasi, and he was so convincing as a sannyasi that everybody thought that he's a real sannyasi. That was the time of Chaturmasa. Even Balramji got uh, deceived, thinking that he is a sannyasi. So, what did Balramji do when he thought that Arjuna is a sannyasi? What did he do?
At the end of
But
Chaturmasa,
yes, Prabhu,
yes,
carry
yes.
on, carry on.
At the end of Chaturmasa, he invited him for lunch, right? Or
Yeah,
prasadam.
he invited him for a meal for
Yeah.
prasadam to his house. So there, what happened? Anybody would like to describe that event? Rajkumari Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. There Arjun saw Subhadra and was attached to Subhadra. Subhadra also saw Arjun, and both were engaged with
Yeah,
each other.
they got attracted to each other. So it was mentioned that Subhadra was so beautiful that she was enchanting to heroes like Arjuna, and also to sober men like who are self-controlled men. She was so beautiful. And same was the case with Arjuna. He was also very good looking. So what made Subhadra, like what did she realize when she saw Subhadra that she fell in love with? Because she could not have been fallen in love with a sannyasi.
उसे मालूम पड़ गया था कि ये अर्जुन डिस्गाइज के वेश में, सन्यासी के वेश में अर्जुन ही है. तो उनको मालूम पड़ गया था कि ये अर्जुन ही है, इसलिए वो अट्रैक्ट हो गए थे.
कैसे मालूम पड़ा माता जी?
Actually, this was the desire of the Lord. Divine will
Hmm.
is there, then automatically these things happen.
Yeah.
Yes, divine will is
Yeah.
there.
Through the Kshatriya marks, like the bow and
Yeah.
all the different marks.
From his characteristics, she could
Yes.
make out that he is not a sannyasi. She recognized that. Yeah, of course, divine will was there, but from his characteristics, she could make out that he is not a sannyasi.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. So now here, then after after that thing was, after the Arjuna came from Balramji's house, what happened? What was he waiting for?
Krishna's
There
go
were very
ahead.
few participants.
Krishna's go
Yes,
ahead.
Prabhuji.
He was waiting for Krishna's go ahead, and
Mhm.
Subhadra's confirmation.
Yeah, he was actually waiting for a a right opportunity to take away Subhadra. So he became very restless and he was waiting for the right time. Did he get that right time? Like, when did this, like, when he kidnapped Subhadra, what was the time?
Yes, he get the right time, sacred time. जो रथ यात्रा का एक टाइम था जहाँ पे सब सुभद्रा जी और सब उनकी सखियां बाहर आए थे तो भगवान के दर्शन के लिए उनके वो रिचुअल था कि एवरी ईयर उनके यहाँ पे रथ यात्रा होती थी तो उसके लिए जब वो बाहर आए तभी अर्जुन ने उनको किडनैप कर लिया.
Correct. It was mentioned that he came as a lion, and like how a lion takes away his prey, Arjun came and took away Subhadra, and everybody started crying. So here there is this very important role that Krishna plays. What role is Krishna playing? What is Krishna's contribution to this Leela? Most important contribution.
Krishna calmed Balram and he touched Balram feet and उनका गुस्सा शांत किया बातों से और सुभद्रा के जो पेरेंट्स थे उनका तो था मालूम ही था दे वर विलिंग टू फॉर द मैरिज विद अर्जुन सो interactions between this Balram and Krishna both brought the harmony in the relations in the family.
Correct.
मगर कृष्णा ने बलराम जी को ये बताया कि यहाँ पे सुभद्रा जी की भी इच्छा है कि अर्जुन के साथ विवाह करे उसकी
Yes,
इच्छा
yes.
नहीं है
Correct.
कि वो दुर्योधन के साथ विवाह करे.
Perfect. And how did Balramji's anger was too strong? He became too furious. How did Krishna pacify him? That's a very important point.
Balram is the elder brother, so it is the responsibility, duty, dharma to protect a sister. So his breath was genuine.
Yes. And how did Krishna pacify her?
He pleaded him, he asked for forgiveness and asked him to forgive his younger kids. So he was in a mood of humble.
Yes.
Krishna told that Subhadra also wanted Arjun. So this point calmed down.
He fell
Balram.
at the feet of Balramji. Very important point. He fell at the feet of Balramji, pacifying him along with all the others. He tried to explain him the situation. So, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what kind of relation or what kind of understanding one should have in a family, respecting the elders of the family, Lord demonstrated it so nicely, by his gestures, the way he handled it. And the role that he's playing was that of a facilitator and a protector. Like he was encouraged Arjuna to go ahead and, take away his beloved, that is Subhadra. So, very nicely explained by all of you. Role of Krishna and how family matters and relationships should be tackled. Also, Raksha Mataji said about the backdrop. The time was very auspicious that of a Rath Yatra. Very important time to practice or increase the intensity of spiritual practices. So these kind of opportunities should not go wasted. That should be taken into consideration. And finally, everything got settled. The last important point over here is emotional dynamics. What a role emotions play in devotion? Are they important? Hare Krishna.
Very
Anybody would like to?
important one. Emotion is
Very.
very important. और फैमिली में अगर सब साथ में चलते हैं एक गोल है और सब साथ में है तो इट इज वेरी वेरी नाइस एंड इट इज डिवाइन ऑल्सो. कि सब साथ में है, एक ही मतलब सब डिसीजन में एक साथ में होते हैं, तो बहुत अच्छी बात है।
Correct.
And emotions are necessary for bhakti practice.
Yes. Yes. It shouldn't be mechanical. It shouldn't be dry philosophy. So bhakti is more of an emotionally reaching out to the
भावनात्मक
Lord.
भक्ति होनी चाहिए, क्रियात्मक नहीं।
भावनात्मक, करेक्ट।
है।
थैंक यू माता जी। एक एक शब्द में ही आपने बता दिया। So this was about the pastime of Arjuna kidnapping Subhadra. So here again 3 important points of this particular pastime. Rath Yatra festival. What aspects of Rath Yatra festival enhance this particular pastime? Anybody would like to answer this? It is mentioned over here.
There is communal gatherings, there is collective chanting, and this all shows divine play and devotions.
So it basically when everybody is coming together to, so there's a shared experience of bhakti, and that makes the whole time very powerful. And then what is the most important thing that is there in this kind of auspicious communal gathering,
It's
without
a
which
collective
yes, Prabhuji.
celebration, reverence, and deep sense of connection to the divine. Presence and worship of the divine is the key, where the Lord
Yeah,
comes out himself to bless the devotees.
correct. Fantastic. Thank you, Prabhuji. And second, emotional dynamics, just now we saw, so that I will not go into it, is the same thing. And the third one, in what ways can the duality of renunciation and desire can be clearly understood? So here my question is, how does the modern devotee practice spirituality? How can a modern devotee practice spirituality?
मॉडर्न डिवोटी जो होते हैं वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा उनका फोकस भक्ति में होना चाहिए, साधना में होना चाहिए, मगर साथ साथ में वो सब अपना भी काम करते रहे और सेंटर में भगवान को रख के सब कार्य करे, तो इट
Correct.
इज रिचुअल बिकम स्पिरिचुअल।
Correct. Fantastic. Very
Nice.
nicely explained. Thank you, Mataji. Now let's come to the other very sweet pastime of the Lord, where Lord personally visits Shrutadeva and King Bahulashva. And now, what was so special about this Brahmana Shrutadeva and King Bahulashva of Mithila city? Why were they so you know priya to Lord?
They were pure devotees, fully engaged, and they sort of had full-time devotional service, like we explained yesterday. So they cannot leave their own place, Mithila. They were in Mithila, which also has importance, we explained. So Krishna thought that I will go and give them the audience.
Correct. So basically, they were duty bound to their own deities, and that's the reason they could not reach out, they could not come to Dwarika to see Krishna. But what was the special thing about them? Like Shrutadeva, what kind of Brahmana was Shrutadeva, and what kind of king was Bahuleshwar, that they were so uh, important and they were so uh, beloved to Krishna?
Oh yeah, King
Too
Bholeshwar
much
being
humbleness.
yes,
Sorry,
yes.
Prabhuji.
No, no, go ahead.
Too much
Anybody, Rajkumar?
humbleness. Too much humbleness of Brahman and king, and faith, extraordinary faith in Krishna, and extraordinary devotion in Krishna. That was
Correct. Yeah. Sanjeev Prabhuji, you wanted to say anything else other
No,
than
same
these
thing. So
points?
like king, being the king, was very humble, although he had all the opulence, like Rajkumari Mataji said. And then the Brahman he was very poor materially, but he was very enthusiastic to serve. I like that
Yeah.
fact you explained yesterday, like
Mm.
how, despite being poor, he was so enthusiastic that he did not realize he's poor. He gave, through his enthusiasm, he gave all the love to the Lord.
Yeah. Correct. So it was explained very nicely by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that uh, this particular Brahman Shrutadeva, although he was a householder Brahmana, he never did anything extra to earn his livelihood. Whatever came naturally to him by the providence, he would be satisfied, peaceful, along with his family in that particular situation. He was always content with whatever he got. So, and he was a very learned Brahmin. So he was not ambitious at all. He was only concentrated in situated in Krishna consciousness. And the king, despite being the very opulent figure of like he was a king of a kingdom, he was free from false ego. And being free from false ego, and in that state, both these people were worshipping Krishna. Hence, they were very pure devotees because there was not a tinge of materialism in them. Hence, they were very pure devotees of Lord Krishna. That's why they were very, Krishna loved them a lot. And that's the reason Krishna went out of his way to, come to them, to see them personally. With whom did Krishna come? Did he come alone to Mithila to visit them?
No, with
Krishna,
sages, with
With
so divine and wonderful भगवान के भक्तों के साथ, like Narada, Sukdev Goswami himself, फिर
correct.
वामन जी, परशुराम जी, so many बहुत बड़े बड़े sages के साथ उन्होंने साथ में आए थे मिथिला।
परफेक्ट माता जी। तो ये सेजिस ने उनको खुद ही बोला भगवान को कि हमको लेके चलो साथ में?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, भगवान ने बोला आप हमारे साथ चलिए।
करेक्ट। When Krishna left from Dwarka on his chariot, he saw that the sages are coming, and he thought that now they must be fatigued. So he forced them to sit on the chariot, and he took them along with them. Yeah. So that's what is mentioned. And then here, this important point here is personal attention and mercy. What does this for his very pure devotees, Krishna gave personal attention and mercy. What does this signify? His which virtue, like his which quality comes out, gets highlighted?
Yes, he is personal. He's a person. He's personal, and he is accessible. He's accessible, approachable, available to those who are impure, who purely worship him.
Yeah. He's accessible, he reciprocates. It actually highlights his boundless compassion. There cannot be any entity other than Krishna who has got a higher compassion. I think more than him, Radharani has. So it highlights his boundless compassion, and also this particular relationship, which is reciprocal. It is more sweet and very, you can say, very experiencing, like it's full of experiences, rasas, compared to the other dry philosophies. Uh, Reciprocal relationship, just now we saw that Krishna reciprocates to the pure and true feelings and pure love of devotee. Let's go ahead to devotion is a key to the realization. What does devotion actually do that it is so important?
It enhance the personal relationship with the divine. ये हम अनुभूति कर सकते हैं कि हम भगवान के साथ बात भी कर सकते हैं, और हम ये जो है वो जो अनुभव होता है वो किसी के साथ, मतलब हम वो शब्दों में वर्णित नहीं कर सकते कि क्या है, मगर वो अनुभूति है, ये एक बहुत ही अच्छी अनुभूति है, डिवाइन अनुभूति।
हाँ, बट माता जी दूसरे भी पाथ्स है ना, दूसरे भी तरीके हैं गॉड रियलाइजेशन के। भक्ति मार्ग ही क्यों? उसमें क्या है इतना खास?
सेवा कर सकते हैं, हम भगवान की सेवा कर सकते हैं अच्छे से, क्योंकि दूसरे मार्गों में भगवान की जो पर्सनल सेवा जो है, लविंग डिवोशनल सर्विस है, वो नहीं हो सकती है।
तो ये
सिर्फ ध्यान
लविंग
ध्यान कर
डिवोशनल
सकते हैं।
सर्विस,
हाँ,
करेक्ट। फिर ये लविंग डिवोशनल सर्विस करने से क्या होता है?
We get
Why
the
भगवान के
only?
mercy
साथ।
of Lord.
हाँ, टू गेट
Get
द
the
मर्सी
mercy.
ऑफ। तो दूसरे मार्ग में भी मर्सी ऑफ लॉर्ड मिलता है अगर सही तरीके से किए। व्हाट इज सो डिवोशनल सर्विस करने से क्या होता है?
Unlock the
हमारे
sweetness of the Lord.
परफेक्ट। इट इज द की टू अनलॉक द स्वीटनेस ऑफ कृष्णा। सब कुछ मिल सकता है, बट
हाँ,
टू एक्सपीरियंस द
मधुरिमा, भगवान
स्वीटनेस,
की मधुरिमा को जान
Hallelujah.
सकते हैं।
हाँ, वो दूसरा इसमें नहीं मिलेगा। दैट इज द रीजन दिस इज द हाईएस्ट पाथ। भक्ति मार्ग इज द बेस्ट पाथ, बेस्ट चोजन पाथ फॉर प्योर डिवोटीज। दूसरे इसमें लिबरेशन मिलता है, वैकुंठ में स्टे मिलता है, सब कुछ होता है, बट दिस पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट इज यूनिक टू कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस एंड
दूसरों में
डिवोशनल
हम
प्योर।
ऐश्वर्य को देख सकते हैं, भगवान का
करेक्ट,
ऐश्वर्य देख सकते हैं, मगर यहाँ पे हम मधुरिमा को देख सकते हैं भगवान की,
करेक्ट।
और समझ सकते हैं थोड़ा।
Which is the highest of all. That is the highest goal. To experience the sweetness of Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
गॉड गॉड
Raj.
का वो
Hmm.
गॉड का प्रेम देख हमें मिलता है इसमें।
Hmm. भगवान का प्रेम मिलता है। Yes, which is the highest thing. Thank you. Then emotional engagement. Now, अभी भगवान तो आए, everybody was very excited on finally on reaching Mithila. Lord passed many kingdoms. Everybody got blessed. People to get like more and more people came ahead to worship Krishna and the sages. And finally, Lord reaches Mithila. And on reaching Mithila, King Bahuleshwar and Shrutadeva, they also come to pay their obeisances to the Lord. And then out of love, they invite, both of them invite Lord Krishna to their houses. And Krishna goes. He very nicely, he is known for it. He uh, expanded himself. He also went to the palace of Bahulashwar and also went to the house of Shrutadeva. Were both these devotees aware that Lord is in, was the king aware that Lord is in Shrutadeva's house? And was Shrutadeva aware that Lord is in Bahuleshwar's palace also?
नो,
नहीं,
दोनों को
Mixed
नहीं
up.
मालूम, मतलब दोनों को ऐसा ही लगा कि भगवान हमारे ही साथ है, उनके पास,
हमारे
उनके वहां
साथ है।
नहीं गए हैं। हाँ,
हाँ, तभी संजय प्रभु जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा कि why does this happen? Everybody thinks that Lord is confined to them only. Yes, Prabhuji, you asked the question, I remember.
यस यस।
Okay, so how did, so what was this like when they saw, they, obviously it was a very big, most precious moment for both these devotees. What kind of emotions was demonstrated by the king, displayed by Shrutadeva Brahmana, that showed that they were very pure and very innocent devotees of the Lord? How did they react emotionally?
They both had tears of joy. They danced
Hmm.
excessively, and that demonstrates their love, longing, gratitude.
Correct, perfect. King Bahuleshwar's tears would not stop. And Shrutadeva, being a Brahmana, he just took his gamcha, started rolling it on his head, and started to dance in ecstasy. So this is how they were so emotionally, uh, like they emotionally got mad, and they these reactions came out. So that showed that true devotion is very rich in emotions. And what are the three things that a true devotion should have? Very important, and we should all, I like this point. Three things.
Love, longing, and gratitude.
Perfect. Love, longing. A true devotion is rich in these three emotions: love, longing, and gratitude. And then we come to the final point: recognizing the divine in others. Uh, Krishna's admiration for the Brahmanas who accompany him emphasizes this. So basically, what Krishna wanted, what did he instruct Shrutadeva specifically when he stayed at Shrutadeva's house? मेन इंस्ट्रक्शन भगवान ने क्या दिया था
ये मेन इंस्ट्रक्शन ये दिया है भगवान ने कि मुझे प्रेम करो मगर मेरे भक्तों को भी बहुत प्रेम करो। आप मुझे
Perfect.
बहुत ही रिस्पेक्ट करते मगर मेरे जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, मेरे प्रतिनिधि जो है उनको भी आप इतना ही रिस्पेक्ट करो तो मैं मिल जाऊंगा। तब अगर आप उनकी सेवा करते हो तो मैं आपको मिल जाऊंगा।
Perfect. They say Lord can forgive you if you commit if you offend him, but he cannot forgive you if you offend his devotees. So
Yes.
devotees are his heart. And especially for Brahmanas, he had a lot of love because Brahmanas are Vedas personified. He always have demonstrated, he himself has honored and respected Brahmanas, served Brahmanas. So Lord gave this instruction to Shrutadeva that I am non-different from my devotees. So you worship them like you worship me. So that was the important takeaway.
साधु
Then
संग,
personal
it is
sadhu
साधु
sang,
संग।
साधु संग and साधु सेवा. साधु संग तो हमारे को पर्सनली बेनिफिट करता है एंड साधु सेवा इज फॉर प्लीजिंग द लॉर्ड. Then sixth point, personal transformation through devotion. What realization that King Bahuleshwar had? It is highlighted in this point that he recognized that his devotion had heightened a lot, and it was not because of his any contribution. It was because of Krishna's mercy and Krishna's presence that suddenly he could feel a lot of devotion which otherwise he did not feel. So that transformation happened through his devotion, but because of Krishna's presence and Krishna's uh, communication with him, that he felt a lot of rise in his devotion. And the last point, access to the divine. Sanjeev Prabhuji mentioned that Shrutadeva, being a poor Brahmana, did not realize, without any feeling of unworthiness or feeling contaminated, he served Krishna. There was no such feeling in him. Although Krishna was served very opulently in the king's palace, but he was borrowing things from his neighbors and still serving Krishna, but he still did not feel lowly. Why? Because of his pure heart. So, what is important over here? That each and every devotee is important to Krishna. Lord cherishes every pure devotee, provided the devotee should be pure in heart and should have pure devotion for the Lord. So, Krishna Bhakti has a very personal and inviting nature for each and every living entity. So, very beautiful pastime. This
माता
was.
जी दूसरा
Let
भी
us.
एक पॉइंट यहाँ पे आ
हाँ.
सकता है कि कभी निराश नहीं होना चाहिए। अगर हमारे
हाँ.
पास हम कुछ अगर नहीं कर सकते हैं कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, फिर भी हमारा भाव बहुत अच्छा है, मगर फिर भी हमें जो भी जितना भी है उससे सेवा करनी चाहिए, मगर निराश नहीं
Correct.
होना चाहिए।
Yes.
गिव
Wonderful
अप
point,
नहीं कर
Mataji.
देना चाहिए कि अभी मैं नहीं करूंगी कुछ ऐसा।
Yeah. Your endeavors should not stop. Your hope should never go away. Very important point, Mataji. And let us conclude with the last three questions. Specific actions what did Krishna do to give his mercy to Bahuleshwa and Shrutadeva? He visited them personally. He responded to their heartfelt prayers. And then how does the relationship between Krishna and his devotees different from the other spiritual traditions?
Very personal with profound intimacy. There's a personal
Yeah.
connection.
Yes. Perfect. And the last one, transformations that happened in Bahuleshwar's and Shrutadeva's life. I just mentioned that they underwent significant spiritual evolution, deepening their understanding and devotion. and their commitment for their spiritual practices. So this was yesterday's class. Over to you, Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for
Very
nice.
beautiful. Samata Mataji, very nicely done. And all the participants.
Nicely done, Mataji. So wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Thank you, Danvat Pranam. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So welcome that. So let me share my screen with you first of all. I'm doing it after a long time. Let's see, where is the sharing screen? Should be here, right? Oh, here it is. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes,
Vibhu?
Vaiji. Yes.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
First of all, we are going to do this series of 6 lessons. And it's a very deep philosophy. As we go into it, you will see it's going to get a deeper and deeper philosophy, you know. But what I'm going to tell you today, my job is to really to introduce you the subject matter. Uh, Basically, it opens up with Parikshit Maharaj's question here, you know. So today what we'll do is to overview of all the 6 lessons, and then so first half of it, and then later half we'll begin with the first 13 verses that we'll discuss. There are 50 verses are there, and we will discuss verse by verse, all 50 verses that we'll discuss. And the sticky point here is about Brahman, the transcendence that is absolute truth, is represented by 3 levels of perception, depending upon who is doing. First level is Brahman, and the second level is more localized. Brahman is a Nirguna Brahman. That means Brahman has no particular attributes, it has no form, so it's kind of very difficult. It's the Gyanis, their target, their goal is Brahman realization. Okay, so they study Vedanta and so on like that. So here, main issue here, the chapter opens up with the very first verse that we will actually discuss. That first verse, Parikshit Maharaj, when he heard about it, that through Vedas that we get to understand Brahman. So he questioned right there and there that how is it possible Vedas can explain, can understand Brahman, because Brahman is nirguna and completely fully transcendental, you know, whereas Vedas, they are full of with these 3 modes of material nature. Vedic knowledge itself is transcendental, because remember Vedas originate from the breathing process of the Supreme Lord Himself. So it cannot be just a minute. It cannot be modes of material nature. But in order to study the Vedas, we, the Jivas, have to introduce what you call sound vibration to hear, mentally understand, mentally grasp. All these things is, of course, 3 modes of material nature, because when we hear the sound vibration, the Vedic sound vibration, that hearing is done by the ears, okay, and the recital of the verses is done by our tongue. These are all material element, material. So that's the modes of material nature. So how is it possible? That was Parikshit Maharaj's question, and we will see how Sukadeva Goswami is going to explain to him by historical kind of context. The same question was asked by the sages uh, over there to Narayan Rishi. Particularly, first of all, Narad Muni, he visits Narayan Rishi in Badrika Ashrama. Narayan Rishi, they are the twin rishis. Narayana, that's his expansion, is Narayan Rishi. And he goes there, and Narayan Rishi is always in the assembly of all the great sages. So there is a Kalapa village in Badrika Ashrama. There Narad Muni sees Narayan Rishi, and he asks the same question what Parikshit Maharaj asked question. So in that, so Sukadev Goswami mentions that by way of his answer, that whatever the question you asked, O King Parikshit, the same question was asked by Narad Muni to Narayan Rishi. So what Narayan Rishi is giving the answer, that's what he want to convey. So in that assembly, Narayan Rishi tells Narad Muni that the same question you are asking me was asked in the Janaloka, which is higher than the uh, Svargaloka, where the elevated sages resides. The four Kumaras also resides. So there, that assembly conducted by Sanandan Kumara, one of the four Kumaras, and he addresses. So there he answers that question the sages raised by again citing the how the Vedas personified offer their prayers. This is exactly the time when Lord Narayana is resting in Yoga Nidra after the cycle is over, and all the living entities, the souls who did not get self-realized, they enter into the body of Mahavishnu with all their karmas are frozen in the dormant stage. And Lord Narayana takes a long sleep. That's called Yoga Nidra. And when the time comes to get a new cycle, these Vedas, now remember they are personified Vedas, and we are talking Vedas means Shrutis. And Shrutis do talk about Brahman, you know. In fact, Shrutis, Upanishad plays a central role. Upanishad is the Jnana portion of the Vedas, Jnana Kanda. And then Karma Kanda comes also. And then there is no Upasana Kanda. But the large portion is the Jnana Kanda, which is a focus on Brahman realization. So there, the sages talk about, so the all the Vedas personify Shrutis. There are 28 Shrutis. Each Shruti is expressing their opinion and explaining, okay, beginning with Brahman and all these things, okay. And then they try to wake up Lord Narayana by glorifying his attributes. So that is how the whole unfolding process takes place to explain to Parikshit Maharaj how this thing can be done. So the main aspect here, the transcendence, what I'm going to explain to you right up front. So we are not in that any kind of suspense, okay? But it is going to be developed in a very, very highly philosophical manner. So that's what not easy to discuss, but we will go about it. And I found particularly uh, Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book, 87th chapter, talks about precisely this subject matter actually. And Prabhupada has a knack how to make most complex, philosophically dense subject matter, make it easy enough to understand. So if you really want to help yourself, read that chapter by Prabhupada's in Krishna Boka, Many of my PowerPoints actually prepared from his chapter, 87th chapter actually, So Prabhupada explains it very beautifully about that. First, the difficulties, why what Parikshit Maharaj is absolutely right. On the surface, it is very difficult to understand, to explain how Vedas can explain Brahman and Vedic sound vibration. It's all because of the modes of material nature, and that is living entity, jivas. When so in order to hear the Vedic sound, as I said already, you need to use your ears, Karn, and then in order to recite, you have to use your tongue. And all these things are three modes of material nature. So that makes it very difficult. How do we explain that, So the basic idea that's developing, uh, uh, that when the 28 Shrutis begin offering their opinions, their prayers to Lord Narayana, that's where they're explaining that there's three aspects of the transcendence, which is the absolute truth, Brahman, then localized Paramatma, and then ultimately Bhagavan realization. So it's Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and he reciprocates, as we saw in today's class also, and how do you communicate through bhakti? The bhakti is the language of communication. So that is how ultimately Vedas are helpful to get understanding of the transcendence in the personal form. So Parishad Maharaj, when he asked the question, he was mainly after Sukadeva Goswami to tell him that is it the personal aspect is more important or impersonal aspect? Because when we talk about Brahman, there is an impersonal Brahma Jyoti of the Supreme Lord. So that's why it is the Bhagavan realization that's very important. Then the bhakti process is involved, and through bhaktya mam avijanati, that's how. So now you see the connection Vedas and the Brahman comes through bhakti process. And when it comes bhakti, you cannot do bhakti to something that is impersonal and which has no form. Only meditation you do that. So Gyanis mainly do this meditation, all these things, But here, the whole subject matter is developing ultimately to the bhakti platform. That means personal aspect of the Supreme. So I already told you now that that's what's going to develop at the end of sixth lesson is that precisely. So now let me give you take you through all the six lessons. So give you an overview of it. So you have some idea, some sense of what to expect. So here in this slide is the six lessons and the Roman letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So today is the first part. Basically, it's first half of it is an overview of it. Then the rest half we'll begin with the first 13 verses. So what I'm showing you here, this is an overview, an introductory part, the prayers of personified Vedas. Okay. And I already mentioned to you right there that Srila Prabhupada's book, Krishna book, 87th chapter, that's the one I used. My entire everything is based on that. Okay. So this is the opinion of each of the 28 Shrutis. Okay. So what I've done, all 28 prayers, I've divided into different sections. So first 13 verses, nature of the supreme absolute truth is described in the Vedas. So what you see, these are the sub themes. Don't worry about right now. This is just by way of introducing it. But each and every sub themes we'll discuss at great length, right? So each theme, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, corresponding to lessons 128, 129, 130, 131, 132, 133. So lesson 1 through 6, that is how we are going to go. Okay. So first 13 verses we'll talk about in the first half. Then the second section is the supreme reality, understanding Krishna's. So now you can say right there, from Brahman comes to Krishna. So the Bhagavan aspect of this transcendence, absolute truth, that is developing now. So that is the supreme reality, and understanding Krishna's very nature and his creation and the devotion unto him, that is going to be discussed in the second lesson, that is verses 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 verses, but the 4 verses are going to be expanded quite a bit, and we'll develop that theme in that. The third lesson, that is lesson 130, that is about the nature and understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you see, this is a personal, Supreme Person is involved here. Supreme Person is involved, that means Bhakti. So what is the Jiva's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? There is going to be discussed, okay? And the transformative power of devotion, Bhakti. So this word will come quite often now, repeatedly, transformative. How Bhakti can dramatically transform one's progress towards the transcendence, understanding and worshipping the transcendence, and one's very personality completely changes. And this transformative action of bhakti, we are going to be discussing to the very end until the 12th canto, and at very great length, much greater depth, there will be continuing. And there is a central part, central topic in my doctoral dissertation is also there. So there is verse 18, 19, 21, 20, 21, and 22. The third section, we will go through that. The fourth one, verses 23 to 29, there is the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the path of devotion. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So that is what we are going to. So see, everything from now, the second division, second lesson onwards, we are going to be talking about personal aspect. So Brahman, but now it's a Bhagavan portion. That is what the focus is going to be there. The fifth lesson, that is verses 30 to 35, and each and every verse we are going to be discussing, okay, verse by verse. So this is what is the very essence and the central idea of bhakti process, and the very nature of the soul, Jivatma, that we'll be understanding that. And the final sixth lesson, nature of reality. Reality means the supreme being, the absolute truth, but Bhagavan portion. Understanding the material and spiritual world. What is the difference between that? And today's recap session, I heard a little mention about that, the material activities and the spiritual activities. So that is actually the big subject, huge subject that we'll be discussing at much deeper level when we come to the 11th and the 12th canto. That's called Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. Pravritti Marga means material desires and everything's there, right? But that is actually not going to be, it's not something that you discard. In fact, you will learn that Pravritti Marga is required. And both Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga doesn't have to be segregated. Both can go hand in hand. Pravritti is required. Just because something material, we learned right long back, just because something is material, we don't discard. Devotees even utilize material things if it is potentially useful in serving the Supreme Lord. So that's where the transformation takes place, material into spiritual aspect of it. So pravritti is designed, if the right way of doing this pravritti is designed, it's a synergistic effect. What is synergistic effect? 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, right? But this is synergistic means 1 plus 1 is more than 2. It's greater than the summation of each part. That is called synergy. So that is what's going to be involved in this pravritti marga and nivritti marga. Pravritti marga is designed that way to ultimately lead you to the renunciation portion, that is nivritti. Nivritti means retiring. So that aspect will continue all the way at great length when we come to the 12th canto. So the final lesson, sixth lesson, is in two parts, 6 and 7, and verses 36 to 41 is about this material world and spiritual world in connection with the nature of the reality. Reality means is the transcendence, the absolute truth, the Bhagavan portion, how Krishna is doing this material world and spiritual, both aspect of it, and they will pay attention to it. And finally, seventh part, last concluding verses 42 through 50, that is the essence of devotion. If the summation of everything that we learn from here, and Parikshit Maharaj is going to be convinced here that yes, indeed, Vedas can understand, because the Vedas personified, they themselves explain these things, that through bhakti we can connect with Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And the Bhagavan portion is the one that is amenable to rendering bhakti. Okay? So I've given you upshot of everything, what is going to be developed in stages, okay, one by one, in the 6 stages that we'll go through that. So now we'll give you, I'll walk you through to this all 6 lessons that I just given you overview of it. Now one by one we'll go through that. Okay. So here is the top portion that you see in this slide is Parikshit Maharaj's question. The dialogue between King Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami offers a profound exploration of philosophical concepts. This is a deep philosophy involved that challenge and stimulate the intellect. So indeed, it is going to require, because it's a philosophy. So when philosophy comes, intellectual portion is involved, obviously. Then it dwells. Now you have seen in my writings, this word dwells I use quite often. Dwells is something more than describing. When you say I'm going to describe, or that particular thing describes, describe means simple description. But when you use the word dwell, that description, but in much greater depth. That's the meaning of this word delves. Look it up in your dictionary, you will find that. Delve means much deeper description of it, in depth, extensive. So this delves into the nature of transcendence, the absolute truth, 3 aspects of the absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma, and ultimately Bhagavan, of the divine and the intricate interplay between material and spiritual realms. So there is a tight connection. They are not two segregated parts. They are interlinked, both material and spiritual realms. Okay. So King Parishit poses a pivotal inquiry, resonating deeply within Vedic literature. How can we, being entangled in the material modes of nature, because we studied Vedas to understand this absolute truth, and we are on the material plane, modes of material nature. So, and the Brahman, the absolute truth, is completely transcendental, beyond any stinge of matter. How are we going to make connection? That is Parikshit Maharaj's dilemma, his perplexity, his difficulty to comprehend that. So he's asking Sukadeva Goswami to explain to him that, and Sukadeva Goswami is going to, he gave this historical context. Narad Muni is asking the same question to Narayan Rishi. Narayan Rishi, and in order to answer Narad Muni, he cites this great assembly at the Janaloka between the four Kumaras on all the sages. The Kumaras headed by Sanandan Kumara, and they discuss that aspect of it. And there, Sanandan Kumara cites the Vedas personified, all 28 Shrutis. They are by way of offering their prayers in glorification of Lord Narayana. There they explained all this aspect of it, that it is through bhakti portion, bhakti way, we actually communicate with Bhagavan aspect of the transcendence, absolute truth. And Bhagavan reciprocates bhakti. So that is how the Vedas can make us understand the absolute truth, comprehend and articulate the ultimate transcendence known as the absolute truth of Brahman. Brahman is the preliminary perception of the absolute truth. And yes, indeed, it is nirguna nirakara. Okay? Jnani's main goal is to Brahman realization through jnana, that aspect of it. And their way of meditation and simply studying Vedanta. Okay. So there also they try to communicate to the Brahman through Vedanta, Vedas. Okay. Okay. So now we'll begin with actual overviewing all 6 lessons with the sub themes that I'll be expanding all these things. Each and every sub themes will be expanded. So first 13 verses. As soon as I finish this overviewing, then we'll get into this first 13 verses. And what are the sub themes of 13 verses is right here. Don't worry about right now, because we are actually going through each of these sub themes. But right now is to get you familiarized which the topics here. It is the introduction, exploring the nature of the supreme absolute Brahman and the role of the Vedas. Now, English, Brahman is not the way it is. In Sanskrit, it's called Brahma, not Brahman. Okay, but in English they use the word, they pronounce it as Brahman, but actually the word Sanskrit word is Brahma. Okay, so the indescribability. So how do you? The question Parikshit Maharaj is asking: how do you describe something that is indescribable? Brahman cannot be described. Nirguna Nirakara, no attributes. How do you describe that? Same question came into Bhagavad Gita also. How to know somebody who is unknown? who is unknowable. Somebody who is unknowable, how do you expect to know? Only when the unknowable himself allows to be known. Bhagavad Gita, that theme is being developed there, So here also, how do you describe Brahman through Vedas? Through Vedas is theoretically indescribable. Anirdeshya. Nirdesha means to describe. Anirdeshya means the opposite of it. You cannot describe. Indescribable, that is anirdeshya. The Sanskrit verse, the first verse, Parikshit Maharaj uses that word comes. We will see the actual Sanskrit verse. Okay. Then the second part, second sub theme in this first 13 verses is the role of the Vedas. How the Vedas play a role in understanding the Brahman. Okay. The third sub theme, the divine mercy of Krishna. Only through the transcendence, but it's the Bhagavan portion of the transcendence. Krishna, through bhakti, the devotee offers, get into it, renders through his bodily senses in the mind. That's how you make a connection. Okay? The ordinary human being, yes, we are conditioned soul. Nonetheless, because of the great mercy of the Supreme Lord, through the powerful transformative bhakti process, we get to understand the transcendence, Bhagavan, Krishna. And he allows himself to be known by that way. So devotional service bhakti is a path to liberate and go even well beyond that. What is beyond? Devotee's goal is not just, Jnani's goal is liberation, moksha. But the devotee's goal is to, even after liberation, they want to serve the Supreme Lord. So it's prema bhakti. Even in the spiritual world, they want to do that. So the goal is way beyond bhakti, way beyond the liberation. That bhakti continues. And even higher than that, even higher than going to the goal of Vrindavan Dhama, devotees, even they're willing to go wherever Krishna goes. Even when he comes, descends in the material world, devotee expects to be part of his entourage. That is the highest goal. So Shukadeva Goswami, indirect response so he is talking about in historical context. I told you up front, right? Shukadeva Goswami, by way of explaining to Parikshit Maharaj, he said that what the question you are asking me, the same question was asked by Narad Muni to Narayan Rishi. And Narayan Rishi tells Narad Muni, the same question you are asking me was discussed in the Janaloka between the four Kumaras and all the elevated sages who resides there in Janaloka. And there Sanandan Kumara mentions ultimately that answer he gives what transpired in the prayers offered by the personified Vedas, Shrutis, to Lord Narayana. And there, the 28 prayers, there this concept is being developed. That is developed right there. How do the Vedas can explain the Brahman through the Bhagavan portion of the absolute truth. And Bhagavan, you connect, you bond with Krishna through your bhakti process. So process of spiritual realization. So this is the first 13 verses that we'll go through that today, this first half of the class. Okay, the second portion, second lesson will begin with verse 14 Then go 15, 16, and 17. So these 4 verses, what is going to be developed there is supreme reality. Supreme reality means this absolute truth. Understanding Krishna's nature. So now you see, we are getting into Bhagavan realization. Krishna's very nature and his role in creation, and then, of course, devotion. So there are 4 sub-themes there that we'll go through that, corresponding to verse 14, 15, 16, and 17. What are those sub-themes? The unconquerable Lord and the power of illusion. We will see that. The supreme source of creation. Krishna is the supreme source of this cosmic world. The nectar of devotional topics and the true nature of life and worship of Krishna. Verse 17. Then comes to the third lesson, that is about lesson 130, and we'll be talking about the verses 18 to 22. And what we are going to learn about there, the nature and the understanding of the Supreme. Now, there we are again talking about Bhagavan. So, what is the Jiva's relationship? We conditioned souls have a relationship, and by going through bhakti process, we get over the influence, the 3 modes of material nature, and we come to pure mode of goodness. And only coming to pure mode of goodness, then what happens? Sattvam sanjayate jnanam. Sattvam yad brahma darshanam. I repeat this so many times, Only coming to that pure mode of goodness, the brahma darshanam, the self-realization automatically develops. So you see that everything logically makes sense. So there are 5 sub-themes: the path of yogic realization, the super soul's omnipresence. So we are going through Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, and Jiva's relationship with the Supreme, again, their relationship is on the Bhakti platform. Bhakti is the communication between the transcendence and the Jivas. Jivas can communicate through Bhakti process. And Bhagavan becomes available to that devotee when you approach him through Bhakti process. And the bliss of devotion. Devotion is not something chore, okay, that you struggle. In fact, every step of devotional path is so nectarian. The devotee loves doing that. The tragedy, and if you don't do that, there's a tragedy of ignoring the Supreme. Then what is the tragedy? We continue to remain in material world, and the soul's translocation through these 14 planetary systems in 8.4 million species of life forms. The vicious cycle keeps continuing. That is the tragedy. So we learn first the hard way, then by the mercy of meeting a devotee of the Lord, meeting a spiritual master, then we learn the proper way of approaching Lord Sri Krishna. And that is through developing bhakti process. So that is how we not only become free from material existence, but we develop a loving relationship with Sri Krishna. So this is first 3 lessons, okay? Now lesson number 4. The nature of the, so now we are going to learn much deeper about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and the path of devotion, the supremacy of bhakti over all other paths. Jnana, not everybody can be a jnani, but bhakti, everybody can do that very easy. Okay? The challenge of knowing the eternal is not that easy. but only bhakti makes it easier. There are certain misguided philosophies, and what are the fallacies that we learn in the 25th verse. Again, these are verses means they are actually the prayers of the Shrutis. They explain all these things. And from their prayers, the answer is given to the question of Parikshit Maharaj. The question is, how the Vedas can communicate, can understand Brahman, because Vedas, the Vedic sound vibration that the living entities uses to study Vedas is all under the influence of the three modes of material nature. But when it comes to the bhakti platform, these three modes become getting purified, and we come to this pure mode of goodness. And again, Sattvam Sanjayate Jnanam, Sattvamya Brahma Darshanam. That's where Brahma Darshanam becomes available to that living entity when it comes to pure mode of goodness by the mercy of Shri Krishna Prema Bhakti. So Lord is the source of all powers. He enables us to understand Him. He allows Himself to be understood. Divine independence and the nature of creation. That's the 29th verse. Okay, then now moving on to the 5th lesson. The essence of devotion, the nature of the souls. Now we are going to learn in greater depth about the bhakti process itself. So here are the sub themes: nature of living entities and living sovereignty, divine sovereignty, the birth and liberation of the jivas, how we trapped, how we become free, all that's going to be explained. The transformative power of devotion, how the life completely transformed when a conditioned soul becomes a devotee of Sri Krishna. Great transformation takes place. His very Swabhava, that Swabhava Avijatasya, that is, we are born with it. That's in our very DNA. How that can be changed, that is through the power of bhakti. And power of bhakti, by the mercy of Sri Krishna, we attract. Okay? By His grace, we understand Him. The unruly mind, and of course, mind plays a very important role here. How to tame the unruly mind. That is also comes through bhakti process. Unruly mind and the necessity of spiritual guidance, guru, spiritual master, through Vaidya sadhana bhakti practice, following the three components of Vaidya sadhana bhakti. We have to engage our senses and the mind. Purification of mind takes place that way. In following the Vedic injunctions, do's and don'ts, chant Hare Krishna, and avoid this regulate four regulative principles. Follow that, okay, and under the guidance of a spiritual master. So engaging our sense, purifying our sense and the mind is the first component. Following the Vedic injunction, and then following the guidance of the spiritual master. The transcendence of material pleasures. So you have to transcend. See, this is where comes the pravritti marga. Material pleasure is a pravritti marga. But using the pravritti marga as a vehicle, you proceed, you make progress, coming to nivritti marga eventually. So pravritti marga done properly according to the injunctions of the Vedas, then we learn how to satisfy material desires and then transform into spiritual desires. When you develop spiritual desires, you come to that level of spirituality, transcendence. You know, so and that's how the Nivritti Marga begins. So Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga are tightly linked to each other in a synergistic manner. both helping each other. Devotional life and then get liberation, moksha. But there is a beyond moksha, loving devotion. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mama upayanti te. Krishna himself shows the way how to come to him. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, they themselves, all three aspects of the transcendence is helping the devotee because the devotee is rendering loving devotional service. So that's where the connection is made, which was previously unthinkable, as Parishit Maharaj is pointing out. Even though in the beginning we are under the influence of three modes, but three modes of materiality gets purified to come to the pure mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva Guna, and then we make connection with the transcendence, with this very same body. So now the final lesson, 133. This is the nature of reality, the nature of transcendence, the nature of the absolute truth in terms of Bhagavan. Understanding the material and spiritual world. So there are 6 sub-themes are there. Illusion, reality. Maya is always there. How to transcend Maya's influence through bhakti process. The illusionary nature of the universe, material world. So many. Material nature, material world is not illusion. It is there, but it's temporary. But the illusion in the sense, the living entity jiva, when gets attracted, they think this is it, this is it. Then it's like a quicksand. The more you try to get out, the deeper you sunk in. So that is why it's called illusory material nature. So we need to transcend that. And the only way we can transcend that, when we are sinking in the sand, deep sand, somebody else has to help us out to pull through. And that somebody else is Bhagavan. Through our bhakti process, when we raise arm in bhakti, then Krishna lifts us up. So that is how we get out of this illusory material world. The consequence of unresolved material desires, and there is no end to it. You cannot end material desires, but what you can do is transform. So this use the transformative power of bhakti and transform material desire into spiritual desire. So pravritti is there, come to nivritti through stage-wise procedure, stepwise. So you get to the spiritual pursuit instead of going over material pursuits. And theme, sub-theme 5, the supremacy of devotion. There is no other path. Jnana, karma are there, but they are all inferior path. Supreme path is bhakti. Everybody can do that and easily. And Krishna facilitated the bhakti process. Understanding fortune and misfortune in bhakti. So again, these Shrutis personified, they also guide us, to explain us, to be aware, beware that about there could be misfortune also if you're not careful, even in bhakti. That we'll learn that. Sixth, the final theme in that verse 36 to 41, the infinite glories of the Supreme, a conversation between Lord Narayana and the Shrutis. So now remember, Shrutis are waking up. Lord wakes up and he talks to the Shrutis. So that we will hear. And then final concluding verses 42 to 50, the essence of devotion in the nature of the soul. And here there are 9 sub-themes are there. We'll do 3 in groups of 3. The sons of Brahma and their realization. The distillation of Vedic wisdom, meditation on the science of the self, Narada's acceptance of the divine command, acknowledgement of Krishna's supreme position, Narada's bowing to divine authority, sharing divine knowledge with Vyasadeva. So Narada, what he learns, he transmits to Srila Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva puts it in the written form in Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam is nothing but Krishna himself. And finally, the eternal presence of the Supreme. The devotee's life is fully engrossed in the bhakti process, is in direct commune with Sri Krishna through bhakti process. Okay, now that two slides this we are going to see here. First one is relatively easier, but the second one is very complex, very difficult to understand. Okay, so pay little attention. Okay, so this one is relatively easy, I said. So this is about Parikshit Maharaj asking a question and how Sukadeva Goswami is citing historical context for him. So he does not answer directly. It's called Parokshavada, indirectly, by citing others. So first the introduction. Parikshit Maharaj profound inquiry about it into the Vedas and the nature of the supreme absolute truth. How Brahman could be understood by the Vedas, because that is on the material platform. Vedas themselves are not material platform. Don't forget that. Vedas comes from the breathing process of the Supreme Lord himself. So it cannot be on a material platform. But the living entities, the conditioned soul, when they try to hear Vedas and recite the verses, understand through mind, intellect, this is all in the material platform. So how is it possible? That's what the Parikshit Maharaj's question. So you see up and down like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, 7. So 1 is introduction. Number 2 is nature of inquiry. What is this nature of inquiry? So Vedas emphasis on the material world versus the transcendental essence of Brahman. So Vedas is like a bridge between the conditioned soul, who's under the influence of 3 modes of material nature, and the other side of the bridge is Brahman, completely transcendental. So Vedas is serving like a bridge. Third point, Sukadeva Goswami's response now. So Parikshit Maharaj asked the question, "O Brahmana, please explain to me, how is this possible? This anirdeshya, indescribable, and yet is saying Veda is going to describe Brahman. It doesn't make sense to me. Please explain to me." So Sukadeva Goswami initially says in a verse or two, okay? But then to make him better understand, he gives the historical context. Okay. So he said first Narad Muni, the dialogue between Narad Muni and Narayan Rishi. And Narayan Rishi tells that the dialogues taking place between the 4 Kumaras and the sages in a Janaloka. And there Sanandan Kumara is telling what happened at the time of before the creation. The Shrutis, they are offering prayers. Each of the 28 major Shrutis are offering prayers. So in the 28 prayers, all this thing getting unfolded. So Narayan Rishi's perspective, introduction of Sanandana Kumara to illuminate the inquiry. Narayan Rishi shares insights from a significant debate among sages in Janaloka. Then Sanandan Kumara's explanation. The personified Vedas emerging from the divine form of Lord Narayana, the Vedas' eternal glorification of the Narayana prior to act of creation, the recitation of profound prayers, 28 prayers are there. And it delves, deeply describe the very essence of what is Brahman. How do you communicate with Brahman? Okay, so now number 6, the conclusion. Rich insights derived from this enlightening dialogue about the Vedas and the absolute truth. Vedas personified Shrutis offering prayers, and Lord Narayana responds back. Then the final seventh is the implication. The vital significance of these teachings for those on the quest in search for spiritual enlightenment. That's how one gets. So this is relatively quite easy. But the next slide is, as I warned you, is a bit little difficult. So I'm going to explain to you rather slowly. First, the verse itself. Okay, the very first verse. Parikshit Maharaj's question. The question is Parikshit Maharaj Uvacha Brahman Brahmani Brahmanideshya Brahman Brahmani Anirdeshya. Brahman Brahmani means cannot understand, indescribable. Anirdeshya. Nirguna, because why? Brahman is Nirguna, where the one who's trying to understand is Guna Pratyaya, involved in the three modes of material nature. Prakriti is three gunas. Okay. Katham Chand. So now the question is, Parikshit is saying, if that is so, how do you expect Katham? How, in what way? Charanti Shrutaya, by listening to Vedas. How is it possible? By we are in the conditioned soul and we simply listen Vedas, but we are under the influence of the three modes of material nature. How we can communicate with Brahman? Sakshat Sad Asad Pare, who is beyond Sat and Asad. So Parikshit Maharaj said, O Brahmana, Sukadeva Goswami, how can the Vedas directly describe the supreme absolute truth, who cannot be described in words? The Vedas are limited to describing the qualities of material nature, but the Supreme is devoid of these qualities, being transcendental to all material manifestations and their causes. So that is the question. Okay. So here again we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but there are sub portions of okay. So let's go through slowly because this is important. This slide, to make you understand, it's very important. And you, when you have time, go through it, take your time and try to understand this slide. The context of King Parikshit's profound inquiry, the paramount importance of grasping the transcendental subject matter within Vedic wisdom. But we are the one who are going to utilize Vedic wisdom, but we are on the wrong, we are not qualified yet. So that's why it makes it difficult. So here, King Parikshit question here. So here we go through this A, B. Essence of Vedic knowledge. What is the essence of Vedic knowledge? Concentration, Prakriti's three gunas. And then quest for transcendence. If you're, that's your goal, right? So there are, what are the challenges? Prakriti's three gunas. The intricate relationship between the mind, sound, and the quest for transcendence. Because you have to use your mind, mental intellect in studying the Vedas. You have to hear the Vedic sound, vibration, and our ears, intellect, tongue, they are all under the influence of three modes of material nature. So that's the problem. Third point, so challenge of description. A, the necessity of articulating subject matter. What do you say articulate? If you understood, then you are asked to explain yourself in your own words. But if you did not understand, how are you going to articulate? And you did not understand because of the three modes of material nature that's preventing you to make connection with the Vedas. The essential task of describing qualities and activities. The B, the dilemma of material versus transcendental expression. So there's a tussle going on in the three modes of material nature. The other side is the totally transcendental being, Brahman. So Brahman as the absolute truth, untainted by the material attributes, the inherent limitations of the human expression sound in conveying this essence of Brahman. So now you understood what is the challenge we face. That if you're going to directly understand Brahman, it's next to impossible. So the exploration of absolute truth. So now you go absolute truth in a higher way, not preliminary perception. Go to the Paramatma realization, then ultimately Bhagavan realization. And the way you do it through bhakti process, that is being developed here. The three significant dimensions of understanding the absolute truth. Parikshit Maharaj, incisive inquiry, very, very powerful probing inquiry, whether Vedas portray the absolute as personal or impersonal. That is what he is after actually. He is looking for that answer from Sukadeva Goswami, that ultimately it is the personal aspect, because only then we can make connection. We render bhakti only somebody who is person, somebody who is nirguna, nirakara. How can you render bhakti process? So first you go stepwise, impersonal Brahman, then come to Paramatma, localized Paramatma realization, and then ultimately Bhagavan realization, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Okay, moving on. Fifth part, examination of Vedic expression. So now you come to examine when you come to Bhagavan realization. So initial doubt is articulated this in 87th chapter. The direct description of Brahman through valid form of Shabda Prati. So the question is, see, here's the difficulty. When you want to articulate to somebody, you have to understand yourself. This difficult, complex subject matter I'm trying to explain to you, unless I understood it, there's no way that I can make you understand, right? So this is what he is saying. What is involved in order to understand and explain to somebody else? Okay, you have to know. Let's say for some, you are describing somebody to somebody else, right? So you have to tell that somebody looks like this. He has these qualities. He has these characteristics, like that, right? You explain to that, then only somebody else will go. And there is a direct way of explaining somebody, introducing somebody to somebody else. Indirect way, he is like something. So you try to give an upama, comparison, metaphor. Somebody, the listener is familiar with it. So you give some kind of example so the other person can understand what you're trying to explain, what you're trying to introduce somebody to somebody. So this is where like that. So Brahman, what can you do that? You don't know anything about Brahman. So varied method of expression. Ruda Mukhya Vritti. Mukhya Vritti means direct characteristics of some subject matter to somebody else. And to make it more understandable, more comprehensible, you give examples. That listener is familiar with that kind of examples. From their way of understanding, you explain the subject matter, no matter how difficult it is. That's the way you normally do that. But Brahman, it's not possible. So what you do, you go to a higher level of Brahman, Bhagavan realization. The constraints, so here, the nature of Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? Here is the challenge. What is Brahman? Brahman is the defining characteristic of Brahman. What is that? It's nirguna, transcending all qualities. Is anirdeshya, indescribable. Constraints of metaphorical language. You cannot use even the examples. Upama, you cannot give that even. The dichotomy between qualitative descriptions and the true nature of Brahman is extremely difficult. The inadequacy of yoga vritti and lakshana, you cannot describe, you cannot give characteristic. The Brahman does not have any characteristics. It has no attributes. So these are the challenging aspects. To directly go through Brahman, the Gyanis go through that. Uh, so final conclusion, reflection on the King Parishad's perplexity, significance of this philosophical challenge in unraveling the teachings of the Vedas, the continual journey into the depths of transcendental knowledge and effective communication. So you see, all this slide is basically defining the very problem you are going to try to solve. What are the challenges you face, and how do you circumvent those problems? That's all this slide is trying to explain to you. Okay, let's take a break. I think in short, it shouldn't come. So now the 13 verse. Let's take a few minutes break. And if there are any questions. Yeah, this is what my Wi-Fi is not working.
હરે કૃષ્ણ દંડોત પ્રણામ પ્રભુજી.
Any questions?
પ્રભુજી આ જે સ્લાઇડ છે એ ઝૂમ નથી થતી, તમે ફૂલ સ્લાઇડ કર્યું છે?
હા, ફૂલ સ્લાઇડ છે.
તો ઝૂમ નથી થતી. હવે થઈ જો. અચ્છા અચ્છા. ઓકે પ્રભુજી.
Sharad Prabhuji, you are not seeing the Zoom slide? Sharad Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
She is asking the slides is not zooming.
Yeah, Prabhuji. No,
હવે થઈ પ્રભુજી, હવે થઈ.
Ha, so go to
થતી.
go to view option and then zoom ratio that we used to do previously
Prabhuji.
100%. Yeah.
Yes, પ્રભુજી.
Yes.
Yeah, that is all. Yeah, Hare Krishna Charu Prabhuji. This is a really a complex question, but this is the underlying principle that we are encounter again and again. I think you are very difficult to what I can just little bit what we can understand, because transcendence beyond our ability to understand. We need somebody to connect with that, right? That's what you are talking. And by our own endeavor, because everything is material, right? So material mind, material intelligence, and what he talks of material vacha, right? Vani, right? All that sound vibration. How can we describe what is that spiritual? But so jnana cannot describe, as we see that difficult to describe jnana. Then Ashtanga yoga cannot describe, because again that complicates only the bhakti. So again the concept of bhakti, that Krishna gives the knowledge, right? Then only we can understand. That's how we understand. We see that when you go to the bhava mode, right? Those potency that the Lord gives a potency to understand that, right? Satchit Anand, that's chit potency. So that is what it talks about, Prabhuji.
No, the main thing is bhakti. How does bhakti helps you to understand Krishna? Only to bhakti mam vijanati, right? Krishna says. So what does Krishna says that you constantly hear about Krishna. Shrotam Sokatha Krishna Puni Shravana Kirtana Hridiyantasto Bhadrani. So then Nashta Prayeshwa, that verse. And then comes Tada Rajastabo Kama Bhava Adasche Chet Etir Anaviddam and Sitam Satya Prasiddha. So what it does, those very modes that is preventing you to understand the supreme, the transcendence, he removes those things and establishes mode of goodness. So when mode of goodness comes, then what happens? Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Then the pure mode of Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Prayojita. Then Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. Then Krishna himself allows himself to be known to that person. gives
Yeah,
the
that's
science.
what we talk. Yeah, Prabhuji, that's what Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini Shakti we come at. Samvit and Sandhini, right? The
Yeah,
Lord
correct.
imposed at the time of bhava. When you are elevated at that level, then only the Lord gives that potency to us.
No. Actually,
No.
again, in 11th canto, we are going to go in deeper. Even at the sadhana bhakti level, you make connection with Krishna.
Okay.
You
Okay.
don't have to go to perfection. Even while you are in a practicing stage, Krishna communicates with you. He takes direct charge. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami
Yeah.
buddhi yogantam. So even at that sadhana bhakti level, he begins to infuse knowledge about him to you, and he makes everything possible for you to make progress on the bhakti path by his grace. He introduces right devotees in your life. So he begins communicating with the living entity, right? So you don't have to become perfect beings.
Okay.
Even
Got it.
sadhana bhakti level, he comes in your life. He establishes a charge of your heart, and his internal potency is beginning to act on you.
Yeah, it makes Prabhuji understood that, because always I had that wrong connection. Always I connect with the bhava and that Sandhini and the Ladi, Samvit and Sandhini Shakti comes. So we get that knowledge, right? That was how my understanding. You are correct, Prabhuji. Thank you. Getting that.
Important point, Radha Vinod Prabhuji, that many people, many devotees have this misconception. Unless I become a pure devotee, I cannot connect myself with Krishna. That's not true. Krishna is so merciful. Even the very moment you start turning towards him, when you express desire that Krishna, I want to come to you, completely neophyte stage. Right there, he sends a guru in your life.
Okay.
And Asat Sangha, he helps you avoid that. And the Sadhu Sangha comes in your life. That's the turning point. So that itself indication Krishna is acting with you. You don't have to become perfect before Krishna acts.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. It makes. Thank you.
Now you understand that?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So living entity, even in the sadhana stage, begin to communicate with the transcendence, the absolute truth in the Bhagavan portion. Everybody understood that point? It's a very important point. Okay?
Yes, प्रभुजी. प्रभुजी सेकंड कैंटो में एक श्लोक है, अकामो सर्व कामो व मोक्ष कामो उदारति तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन यजित पुरुष परम. मगर जो भी काम है वो भी आगे.
There's another verse also, tat kshanat. Immediately Krishna said tat kshanat. As soon as you come to bhakti platform, that very moment your life is changed. And there you always go forward. Once you begin something, bhakti does not end. All right. Any other question before I continue? Haribol?
Yes, Prabhuji, please continue.
All right. So you see the slide now? I'm going to expand.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You see the full portion, Raksha Mataji? Now can you see the full portion?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, so now we are going to get the first 13 verses. Now we are going to move very fairly quickly. Okay, now this is very easy. The most difficult portion, we are already done with it. And difficult portion was that how do you make connection with transcendence, absolute truth? We are on the conditioned soul, and I explained to you. Then you approach not Brahman but Bhagavan, and the communication is through bhakti. And bhakti you can offer directly to somebody who has a form and who reciprocate. that is Krishna. And how he does it? He purifies us from those lower modes. When we hear about him constantly, then he removes those elements that prevent you to understand transcendence, the lower modes of material nature, and he brings you the Shuddha Sattva Guna. Then he gives the science of Krishna himself to you. So then you make direct connection. So now you understood how this works, right? So now let's go. So this is verse 1 to 13. What we are going to see, the introductory portion, exploring the nature of the Supreme Absolute and the role of the Vedas. So the indescribability of the Supreme Absolute, the dialogue compellingly asserts that the Supreme Absolute Truth, known as Brahman, transcends all material qualities and defies adequate description through words or concepts. So that's a challenging aspect. If you're going to try to understand Brahman, the Gyanis go through a very, very hard way. Thus, this theme serves as a cornerstone of our discussions, highlighting the inherent limitations we already saw in that slide that I showed you. The tough challenges if you're going to try to understand Brahman, because Brahman is completely transcended when we are trapped in the material modes of material nature, Prakriti's three gunas, that prevents us. But when you go to the Bhagavan portion, then through bhakti, Bhagavan makes us available and he begins communicating with you. Then you try to understand. It emphasizes the paradox of attempting to articulate the indescribable. Now the indescribable becomes describable because the indescribable entity himself allows us to understand him. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, how do you know somebody is unknowable? Only if unknowable allows himself to be known. The bhakti allows us that. Okay, this slide. The role of the Vedas. What is the role of the Vedas? The Vedas, so remember, Vedic knowledge actually gives, Krishna says, right? Vedescha sarva aham vedyo. Through Vedas, I am to be understood. Vedanta krit ved. There is Vyasadeva who written the Vedas for us to understand that, right? So the Vedas, so Krishna himself said, through Vedas, I am to be understood. Completely different than what we are hearing here. The Vedas revered means glorified, as the foundational scriptures of the eternal religious principles, Sanatana Dharma. It teaches us that and are presented as indispensable instrument for understanding the Supreme Absolute Brahman. While they cannot fully encapsulate Brahman's true nature, they do act as vital references and they elevate to seekers' consciousness. Even Brahman also we understand. Brahman is nothing but the impersonal Brahman, Brahma Jyoti of Shri Krishna. This focus on the Vedas underscores the significance of scriptural study. So we need to study scriptures, of course, but with the guidance received from the spiritual master sent by Shri Krishna in our life. So then Vedas going to be explained to you. Well, acknowledge and that spiritual master is obviously in the Shuddha mood of goodness. It illuminates the profound connection between the divine revelation and human understanding, suggesting that spiritual truths can be effectively grasped through a nuanced interpretation of this sacred text. So yes, there are nuances are there. Nonetheless, it begins to communicate with you and you making progress every day with the help of your spiritual master. And you make effort yourself to study the Vedas. The divine mercy, then the mercy portion of the Lord comes into play. the grace of Krishna. The text consistently portrays Krishna as the ultimate source of all knowledge. Remember, Samavit Shakti is working at you. Samavit Shakti is the knowledge-giving potency that helps you understand the Vedic principles. The ultimate source of all knowledge and the realization. The concept of divine mercy encapsulate the understanding that access to Supreme Absolute depends on Krishna's grace. So grace is every step of the way that plays a role. And Sadhu Sangha, devotee association, keeps you always engaged in that service. So continuous flow of that mercy, grace is coming in your way, coming on your way, not in your way, on your way. So that's a gift that's freely given and not contingent upon individual's merit. Whether we are qualified or not, Krishna is so merciful. As soon as you turn your face towards him, he begins to flow, his mercy begins to flow. And Krishna knows initially we may not be qualified, but he makes us qualify for that. This theme powerfully reinforces the idea that human effort alone falls short. By our own way, we cannot make progress. Only by Krishna's mercy, grace, we move forward on the bhakti platform. But his mercy, when his grace, when does it come? Krishna only sees our desire. Whether or not we are qualified, that's his lookout, not our lookout. But we want to come to him. So you communicate through a chanting process, hearing about him, associating with his devotees. Then all this thing turns in your favor. It underscores the intimate relationship between the devotee and the divine, offering a profound contrast to impersonal interpretation of Brahman, completely opposite to what Gyanis use directly communicating with Brahman. Devotional service is a path to liberation. So it's a devotional service that is the bridge through which you communicate with the Supreme. It's a language. The dialogue reveals that engaging with the Vedas and realizing Brahman through the path of devotion, of bhakti, paves the way to liberation and ultimate fulfillment. Bhakti transcends mere feelings of devotion. It manifests as practical service to the divine, expressed through various actions and rituals. So this theme intricately weaves together the concept of, so you see that all the proper jnana, all the action, devotional action, the bhakti process goes hand in hand, illustrating a holistic approach to spiritual growth through devotion. So everybody's convinced that the way it is explained, it illuminates the profound connection with divine revelation and human understanding. Even our limited mind, limited intelligence, we begin to communicate with Supreme through our bhakti process. कितना भी बुद्धू इंसान हो, कितना भी कैसा भी हो, जब वो सुनता है, प्यार से प्रेम पूर्वक सुनता है कृष्ण कथा, भगवान सब सुनते हैं. Suggesting that spiritual truth can be effectively grasped through a nuanced interpretation of the sacred text. Initially, you will have doubt. Of course, nuances are there. And the 12th canto, again, I'm going to revisit and I'll remind you that what we read today. Historical context, that we already discussed. That this perspective situates the teachings within the larger tradition, showcasing their continuity and collective nature, thereby illuminating the depth of spiritual wisdom. See that these four Kumaras, very highly, they are the Jnana portion of the Supreme Lord they represent. Kumaras are the Jnana potency personified. And the Kumaras, they make this thing understand. It accentuates the significance of community. So you remain in the community of devotees that facilitate the process moving forward. Sadhu Sangha is a lifeline, I tell you many, many times, repeatedly. The process of realization, the journey from inquiry to realization. So you begin making inquiry, and then ultimately, when you become realized, that path is becoming clearer and clearer to you every day. So dynamic dialogues and discussions. So you ask question, and I always keep encouraging all of you. Remember, ask questions. Don't hold back. The more you ask questions, more revelation will come your way. Don't be shy. Emphasizing that understanding is cultivated through careful contemplation. See, the contemplation, word contemplation means what? Engagement. You contemplate yourself every way. Don't keep quiet. Don't be like a statue listening, because then you're not going to get anything out of it. Engage yourself actively. I'm specifically addressing to those of you who never speak. It underscores the vital role of scholarly pursuits and intellectual discourses in attaining higher states of consciousness and highlighting the essential value of the dialogue within spiritual traditions. See that? You have to have a two-way communication. Unless and until you have two-way communication, you cannot make progress. It'll make progress, of course, but it'll take time. You want to expedite that matter. What is the conclusion? Together, these dynamic elements weave a rich tapestry that delves deep into the nature of the Supreme, the limitation inherent in human understanding, and the critical role of the divine grace. The grace is extremely important. And how do you attract the grace? By constant engagement, constant asking question. Krishna, please let me come to you. Please help me. I'm unable to come myself. So you need to speak up. Each component heightens the reader's appreciation of the complexities involved in the pursuit of absolute and the multifaceted relationship. Multifaceted, different way of approaching the same subject, that exists between the divine and the devotee. There's so many different ways the communication can be established between we as the devotee and the Supreme Lord. Somebody who can sing nicely, through your bhajana you communicate. Somebody who can give classes, study like me, explaining to others. By explaining to others, I get to learn more in greater depth. So active role is required. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't be like a statue. Speak up to achieve a harmonious balance between material ambitions and spiritual growth. So initially, of course, because material desires are there countless times, lifetimes, it's not going to go overnight. The more you get involved in bhakti process, slowly it will go behind. You'll move forward. This proactive approach. See the proactive approach. You understand what is proactive approach? You facilitate actively, ensures that their pursuits resonate with their core spiritual values. Sadhu Sangha will help you do that. The lethargy that you may have, it will be removed automatically when you associate with other devotees. You will feel encouraged to get involved yourself from passive to active. Don't be passive. I keep repeating myself. Don't be passive. Active listeners should be always asking questions. So there is a synergy between the two aspects of life, pravritti and nivritti. Synergy again. 1 plus 1 is not 2, but more than 2. Furthermore, incorporating consistent devotional practices such as prayer, meditation, not only fosters clarity, but also illuminates the path toward maintaining this vital balance. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, I may have come a little too strongly. For those of you who are not able to speak, Badal Prabhu, please forgive me, okay? But I'm trying to encourage you to speak. You are the most silent devotee that I've seen yet. Haribol. Please forgive me. Okay, it's open for discussion now.
Yes, so wonderful class, Prabhuji. So many aspects we have to learn and study. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It was difficult. It's not easy lesson today, but it's
Yes,
going to get
Prabhuji.
harder and harder. The next few
Hmm.
lessons are very deep in philosophy.
And Prabhuji, don't say sorry to anyone because it is
No,
your
I know
duty
to
to
say.
encourage everyone, Prabhuji.
No, then they can make progress faster. That's what the reason I'm trying to encourage all of you.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji, you are doing so
not
wonderful job.
easy. I understand their situation also. When you're introvert, it's very difficult because you are going against your very nature. But remember, I told you, Swabhava Abhijatasya, that can be changed. This bhakti process is transformative process. It completely transforms. But you have to make some effort. Some effort. Hare Krishna.
Very true, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Prabhuji, finally, all the dots are getting connected slowly and slowly. Now, here one can ask a question. If the Lord is so graceful, He bestows His mercy, one may be feeling why it is not coming to us. Whatever we want, why it is not getting fulfilled. Now the reason is given in the Bhagavad Gita, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Perhaps we are not striving so much. We do not want that thing so earnestly. And if we want, suppose, say the association with the Lord, somebody is wanting, and if that reaches the highest stage, at that time the Lord will come in front of the devotee. And believe me, the Lord is not in the Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha or even in Vrindavan. He is everywhere. It depends on our efforts. That's why we should try to understand. You see, like this class, everything looked so difficult. But the essence is, if we just simply follow the path of bhakti, everything gets resolved. We don't have to do anything else. So that is very easy thing to understand. But for that, the background knowledge is required. Otherwise, you will not understand why we are practicing this bhakti. And as Prabhuji had requested to go through his earlier lecture of 2016. Anybody who has gone through that, all these things, they'll become easier to understand. That's why I'll request all of you, if you have not yet gone through that lecture fully, please hear that. That is almost 10 years back.
This sadhu sangha is very important. That will help you, when you associate asking questions to your fellow devotees, if not in the full open class, ask somebody with whom you are familiar with it, But you need to make inquiries. If you don't make inquiries, you will get, but it will take long time for you to make progress,
Yes.
And what Prabhuji is saying is difficult, but the difficulty will slowly vanish. Things will become really, really very easy for you after a while. Simply hearing, only if you simply even hear, you will keep making progress. If you sincerely hearing, sincerity of purpose, in Bhakti platform, sincerity comes at the most important part. Everything else you do is with sincere desire. And sincere desire, when will come? The fire in your belly. Yes, Lord, I want to come to you. That desire, as long as it doesn't come, you'll not make progress. Okay? The sense of urgency will be there because we are not getting younger. We are getting older every day. Soon you will come to my age. See that? I'm losing hair like anything very rapidly. In next couple of years, I might go totally blind, bald.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You
Okay.
see the hair I'm losing like very rapidly. I had a very rich, head full of hair, Okay, so any other points, questions? Today we have very few people are there, right? Only
Prabhuji,
seven of us are there. I think people are traveling, right? Vrindavan and other
yes.
places.
Yes, Prabhuji. Kartik Masam.
So maybe we can then, if there are no questions, we can end the class sooner then.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, as you said that Bhakti Marg, finally, the Krishna is also advocating Bhakti Marg, and it is the best marg. But there are downfalls in Bhakti Marg also. But when they are that downfalls also can be overcome by Bhakti Marg only, no, Prabhuji?
Yeah, but see, we are hearing the stories about. Remember that Durvasa Muni offending the great devotee of the Lord. What happened? So those
Ambarish Maharaj.
Vaishnava Aparadha is a terrible thing that can happen in the bhakti. So you have to be very careful, respect all the devotees, utmost care, and serve whatever way you can think of.
And
You can
Prabhuji,
serve
since
my
you
cause.
mentioned,
Those of you who are not able to speak, serve my cause by speaking loudly. Participate for your own good. Yes, Samita Mataji.
Prabhuji, as you said that this path of Brahman realization is so difficult, then knowing that,
Gyanis go by that.
yeah, knowing that it is difficult, not that they are not doing austerities, they know themselves it's a very difficult part. Why are they still advocating it and in favor of
Because
it?
because the Vedas, they follow Vedas, right? And that also Shrutis. Shrutis in Upanishads, they talk mainly Brahman realization. Shrutis rarely talk about personal aspect of it. Very few, like Isha Upanishad, okay? Very few exceptions are there. But by and large, they talk about Upanishads on a Jnana platform. And they are made to understand that Brahman is everything. Brahma sarvam khalva idam. Brahman is everything. That's what they're taught. And what are being taught in the beginning stage, that stays fixed in their mind. And lifetimes they spend, lifetimes. Because it's a very difficult sadhana. Intellect, meditation.
Similarly, Prabhuji, even a conditioned devotee who is on the Bhakti Marg, he also takes a lot of time to, may take many lifetimes to come out.
He is making progress every time, every step of the way. He is making progress. And the biggest thing in my life, I saw that, and when you do bhakti process, it's always a great bliss is there, Satchit Ananda. You're not in the tension that way, I always pray, my Lord, please protect. And the Bhakti Devi, who is Bhakti Devi? Sri Radhe. You are approaching Krishna through Sri Radhe. Her mercy is absolutely required. And she is more merciful than Krishna himself. Yes, Prabhuji, Srila Prabhuji said that, ye tha mam prapadyante. But Krishna, there is Krishna, right? Radhe is not like that. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but came in the mood of Radharani. So the fallen people, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our shelter.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Am I speaking right or not, Srila Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
There is another thing also, like in the path of bhakti, what Santa Mataji was saying, if somebody is not successful, then also it is given in the Shastras very, very clearly, you get another chance in the next life. But that life, you are much better, in a much better placed situation, in the family of the devotees, and you have also got opulence, you don't have to strive for anything, and then it goes on, and you lose actually nothing in the path of bhakti, you always gain. And at the end, finally, you'll achieve your aim. That is what is the best thing about bhakti, which is not there in the other paths. Other paths, that is Jnana Marga.
Srila, what is that? Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Alpasya Dharmasya. Trayate Mahato Bhayat, right?
Yes.
Even little thing you did in bhakti platform will go a long way.
नेहाभिक्रम नाश्नोति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
2.40.
So nice to get you back, Mataji. It gives me great pleasure to see you back.
Yes, Prabhuji, we were missing her a lot. She has
She's a very, very, very active participant. That's what I like her about.
And best thing is she has the shloka on the tip of the tongue.
Yeah.
Which is like amazing.
Prabhuji, frankly speaking, I'm in the love of श्लोका. बहुत ही प्रेम करती हूँ श्लोका से. कोई भी श्लोका देखा नहीं मैंने, बाय हार्ट करना नहीं, बस कर ही लेती हूँ. बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Sharpo, if you want to discuss something else, you are free. Whatever you want to talk about, because we seem to have 20 minutes. And not 20 minutes. I think time is up now, isn't it?
Time is actually up.
But time is up, Prabhuji.
भक्ति में टाइम गए तो भी पता नहीं चलता है.
Very true, Prabhuji.
कितना भी बोलो कम है, right? भक्ति में.
Prabhuji, I am leaving tomorrow for Vrindavan.
So have a wonderful, wonderful time there. And please pray on our behalf too also.
Yes, certainly.
Radha Shyama Sundar,
Yes.
Prabhuji, blissful yatra to.
Good wishes, our good wishes.
Prabhuji, हमारे तरफ से भी प्रार्थना करना.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you will be away for a whole month. You'll be in touch with us or not?
I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch. I'll try. I'll see.
Wi-Fi is available with that one?
Yes, it is available.
Okay.
I'll see in
Okay,
other places because initially for 15 days I'll be staying somewhere. Then I'll be shifting to my house.
All right. Okay. Okay. Rakshabandhan, you want to somebody that can do the Nrsimha prayer? Let's end it then. I'm sorry.
Bhaji, I have one question. I have one question, little question. Should
Okay.
we pray Radha Rani for to achieve Krishna?
Yeah, that's the way to do it. We are approaching Krishna always through Sri Radha.
Okay.
Yes,
She's our Bhakti Devi.
there is a channel. If we go to Krishna directly, he will not be available. You have to go through Radharani. And to go through Radharani, you have to go through Lalita Devi. And if you have to go through Lalita Devi, you have to go through Rupa Manjari. Like this, the channel, that means we have to follow our previous acharyas, then automatically things will fall in the correct path.
How to proceed then? What is the
Yes,
way?
Yes, what we are doing.
माताजी, when you अरे बहन जी, आप जब भक्ति में आए हो, भक्ति मतलब भक्ति देवी श्री राधे. So you are already there.
We are already following that path. There is nothing else to be done.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you, Bhaiji.
बहन जी, आप करेंगे नृसिंह
हाँ
prayer?
जी, हाँ मैं करती हूँ.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
मैं करती हूँ. हरे कृष्णा. नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, नमस्ते नरसिंहाय, प्रहलाद लाद दाहिने, प्रहलाद लाद दाहिने, हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः, हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः, शिलाटङ्कालखालाये, शिलाटङ्कालखालाये, इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा, इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा, यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा, यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा, बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा, बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा, नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे, नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे, तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गं दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम्, केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, तव कर कमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुत शृंगम, दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम्, केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय प्रहलाद महाराज, जय प्रहलाद महाराज, जय प्रहलाद महाराज, जय प्रहलाद महाराज, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव. जय हो सब डिवोटीज की. थैंक यू भाई जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी.
बहुत अच्छा किया आपने.
भाई जी.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Sharad Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So have a wonderful, wonderful trip there, okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'll miss you too. I'll miss you very much.
Yes,
Very
Prabhuji, we are
Yes,
also
Prabhuji,
missing
we'll
him.
miss you. We'll
Wish
miss
you the best.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Dandat pranam to all devotees.
Dandat pranam to all.
Mataji.
Thank you, Rajkumari Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.